All right, so right now I'm looking at number 12 from the 11.5 worksheet. So this one tells us a ball is thrown vertically into the air with an initial velocity of 64 feet per second. The function y equals negative 16t squared plus 64t gives its height above the ground after t seconds. So that's important that t represents time in seconds, h represents height. So if we want to know the height after 1.5 seconds, well, this just means that t equals 1.5. So I can plug that into the equation and get my answer. I said h represents height, but I meant to say y in this case. So y is going to represent our height, so I can do y equals negative 16 times 1.5 squared plus 64 times 1.5. So 1.5 squared would be 2.25. 1.5 times 64 is 96. So negative 16 times 2.25, that would be 36. Negative. Plus 96. Running out of room here. So when you add negative 36 plus 96, you end up with 60. So the height of the ball after 1.5 seconds would be 60, and it was feet, so 60 feet. Let's use a different color. All right, for part B, what is the maximum height? So again, anytime we see maximum, we should always be looking for the vertex. So if I find the vertex, finding the maximum height will be easy. So to find the vertex, if it's in standard form, like this one is, c in this case is just 0. So I could take the b, so negative b divided by 2a. If I labeled all these variables over here, I'd have a is negative 16, it's an a. B is 64, and c is 0. So that's how I got these two numbers. I'm finding the axis of symmetry, which will also tell me the x value of the vertex. So negative 64 divided by negative 32 would be 2. So I know x equals 2 is the axis of symmetry. So the vertex is going to have an x value of 2. Then to find the y value, I put 2 into t. So 2 squared is 4, negative 16 times 4 is negative 64. 64 times 2 is 128. So when I combine those, I get 64. So this is our t value, this is our y. So they're asking for the maximum height, so that's the y value of the vertex. So the maximum height would be 64 feet. And then part C is asking when will the ball hit the ground. So the ball, when it hits the ground, will have a height of 0. So instead of y, I'm going to put 0, because the height has to be 0. So 0 will equal negative 16t squared plus 64t. So there's a couple different ways I could solve this. We've done completing the square, we've done factoring, we've done quadratic formula. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to factor. So there's no c. All these terms have a t, so I can factor out t. And also there's a GCF for the numbers as well. So I know that 16 actually goes into both of these. So I'm going to factor out a negative 16 t. So when I factor out negative 16t from this, the negative 16 is gone. One of the t's is gone, so there's just one t left. So I took out negative, so this turns into a negative sign. So negative 16 goes into 64 negative 4 times. There was one t, took that t out. So now, in order to make this 0, I can say negative 16 t equals 0, and t minus 4 equals 0. So I'm just setting this equal to 0 because I'm multiplying these two things. And then I set this equal to 0, and I solve. So in this case, t would equal 0 on this one. And this one is t equals 4. So t equals 0, that's the time when the ball starts on the ground. So that at the beginning, the ball's on the ground. It gets thrown up, and then it lands on the ground at 4 seconds. So the answer would be 4 seconds.